What's going on, Master Duel fans? James here again. Time for another tech talk for you guys that I happened to come across on ranked duels from one of the past videos. And this tech card literally blew my mind. At the time of today's video, when this is going up, the talk of the town happens to be Skull Meister, a unique hand trap that seems a bit unorthodox that no one ever came about as a surprise factor. Skull Meister happens to be a level 4 Dark Fiend, 1700 attack, 400 defense. When a card effect is activated in your opponent's graveyard as a quick effect, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard, negate that effect, and it is not a hard once per turn at all. So why is this card a unique tech card that I came across on ranked duels? Well, most of the games in general is where we all need graveyard effects nowadays. So based off from my experience in terms of the usages of Skull Meister in certain matchups, let's go over the rundown. So, first things first, on behalf, when it comes to White Forest, to be specific, that means if they were to do some tag in, tag out shenanigans, all from the likes of such cards as Sylvie and Orusia, Skull Meister can actually stop that, because somewhere in that line of text where it says, if this card is in your graveyard, to be specific, these girls let you target one White Forest synchro monster you control or in your graveyard, return it to the extra, and if you do, special it, but its effects are negated. But with Skull Meister hanging around, they will not be able to tag in, tag out by any means necessary, especially OGLZ in your graveyard during your opponent's turn. If they were to be summoned, you can have Skull Meister to make sure that OGLZ being stuck in your graveyard by any means necessary. And to partner up with White Forest in the storybooks or the lore, you also got the Azamina cards as well. So most cases about Azamina related stuff, to circumvent this, cards such as Deception of the Sinful Spoils and the Hollow Azamina can be countered by Skull Meister. The effect of Deceptions and Phase about if it's in a graveyard just because it was sent there, you have the ability to reset button the card, but with Skull Meister around, no reset button of Deception. Hala Azamina, same thing, because somewhere in the text where if it's in a grave, this lets you shuffle one Azamina monster you control or in your graveyard just to have the Hala Azamina back to hand. But with Skull Meister around, you don't have to worry about it. And it makes it so that they got another turn to recur the Azamina monster and the Hala Azamina spell. Now, water decks in general, we all know what's up with the likes of Atlantean monsters. Cards such as Dragoons, Mermail Shadow Squad, I still call it Atlantean because parentheses on the text, Marksman, Infantry, and Nethabis, they all do something about being sent to the graveyard just because of a water monster's effect. So most cases, when Skull Meister can counter the Atlanteans in terms of mandatory uses, they cannot search off from Dragoons, they cannot E-Telly a level 4 or lower Atlantean or Mermail, they can't spot removal your set or face-up cards off from Marksman or Infantry, and they definitely cannot reborn off from Nethabis, which is crucial. And speaking of crucial for Fire Kings, To circumvent this in terms of graveyard effects, they cannot Ponyx in terms of self-recur. They cannot Fire King High Avatar Kieran in terms of reborn a Fire King from grave or extend from hand in terms of its graveyard effect. And this outright cancels the spot removal off from Skull Meister so that your card is absolutely safe. And on top of that, if Sacred Fire King Garunix is in the grave, in terms of the extension part off from the first effect, you can actually Skull Meister that to make sure the Sacred Garunix cannot be brought back out from the grave, which is huge. And on top of that, when it comes to fire decks in general, this is the part where Snake Eye can do some serious works. Most cases, if you expect them to stop them on your tracks, Poplar's placing a card to the back row in terms of a fire monster, you can either stop that off from Meister or, to be specific, in a huge advantageous position, Snake Eye's Flamebird's Dragon in terms of reborning 2 level 1 fire monsters is insane. So that way it lets you turn off the extension and they shouldn't be able to go no further than that. And then for the rest of the Snake Eye cards, in terms of recur by any means necessary, you can actually cancel the original Sinful Spoil Snake Eye in terms of recurring any level 1 fire, well, searching the target for one, which is nice. And you can actually stop Wanted in terms of cycling cards. For trap heavy decks like Labyrinth, if you were to stop the effects of regular welcome to reset button itself and banishing the big welcome off from graveyard effects just to compose something, you can actually Skull Meister that, so that way you don't have to worry about Labyrinth taking up too much advantage. Primites. When it comes to Primites, everyone be thinking to themselves that they are basically having a tough time in terms of cards such as Dragon Ether Barrel and or Drill Beam in terms of infinite recursion. But with Skull Meister around, you don't have to worry about Drill Beam being the most threatening card, and you don't have to worry about Primite Ether Barrel in terms of recurring itself. And last but certainly not least, Fiendsmiths. Fiendsmiths in general, everybody knows what's up being the top engine of the game right now. If you were to stop your opponent's tracks in terms of the Fiendsmith stuff, you can stop Lacrima Chick's graveyard effect to make sure that the Fiendsmith links can't be brought back out because of her. You can also stop Fiendsmith Engraver's graveyard effect to reborn itself, or you can also cancel their Fusion Shoken off from Trat, so that way they cannot go any further than that. And when it comes to the generic uses of extra decks in general, you can also stop the Fiendsmith Desiree, courtesy of Fiendsmith and Paradise, either or, because somewhere in that line of text of Paradise, it does say you can banish this, to be specific, while it's in a grave. Let me rephrase that. While it's in the graveyard, you can banish this just to make sure that your opponent cannot toss out any Fiendsmith stuff to the graveyard, such as the Desiree, in Master Duel specifically, the Lacrima Fusion, and so forth. And obviously, in every typical fashion, fire decks in general, Skull Meister can actually stop Promethean Princess, because somewhere in that line of text where it says while this card is in your graveyard. So what that means is, if you were to shut off Promethean Princess from destruction and reborning herself, you can actually Skull Meister the princess, so that way they cannot interrupt your plays, and that is huge. Let me know what else in the comments below about the usages of Skull Meister. To me, I find Skull Meister to be like one of the most unorthodox yet out of nowhere hand trap cards, where most of the cards nowadays do need their graveyard effects to come up. But I already know for that fact that there are more cards in the universe out there that does something in terms of graveyard effects. So let me know in the comments below of what you guys think of Skull Meister, and have you guys ever used this hand trap in the past or even in the present? If so, let us know about your experience. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Smash the notification bell to keep yourself constantly updated. Also, if we have any leftover prizes off from the campaign code, be sure to use my campaign code in the description below so we can gather the leftover prizes for future use of content. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Catch you all next time.